Hello, my name is Jennifer Lopez, and today I'm going to say the introductory terms to phonetic. The first term is language. Language is a system of conventional, spoken, manual, signed, or written symbols by means of which human beings, as members of a social group and participant in its culture, express themselves. The function of a language includes communication, the expression of identity, play, imaginative expression, and emotional release. Linguistic, the scientific study of a language. The word was first introduced in the middle of the 19th century to emphasize the difference between a newer approach of philology. The differences were and are largely matters of attitude, emphasis, and purpose. Phonetic, the study of speech sounds and their physiological production and acoustic qualities. It deals with configuration of the vocal tract used to produce speech sounds, articulatory phonetic, the acoustic properties of speech sounds, acoustic phonetic, and the manner of combining sounds so as to make syllable, words, and sentences, linguistic phonetics. Phonology. Phonology is the study of the sound patterns that occur within languages. Some linguistics include phonetics, the study of the production and description of speech sounds within the study of phonology. Phoneme. A phoneme in linguistics is the smallest unit of speech distinguishing one word or word element from another, as the element P in tap, which separates that word from tap with an B, tag with an G, and tongue with an N. Allophone. An allophone is one of the phonetically distinctive variants of a phoneme. The occurrence of one allophone rather than another is usually determined by its position in the word, could be initial, final, or medial, or its phonetic environment. Minimal pair. In phonology, minimal pairs of words or phrases in a particular language, spoken or signed, that differs in only one phonological element, such as a phoneme, toneme, or chroneme. For example, vine with an V and fine with an F. Homophone. A homophone is a word that is pronounced the same as another word but differs in meaning. A homophone may also differ in spelling. The two words may be spelled the same, for example, rose and roast, or spelled differently, as in rain with ing and rain with in. Homographs are words with the same spelling as that of another word, but differing meaning and sometimes different pronunciation. For example, ball, the one that you kicked, and ball, a dance. Diagraph. A diagraph or diagram is a pair of characters used in the orthography of a language to write either a single phoneme or a sequence of phoneme that does not correspond to the normal values of the two characters combined. Alphabet is a set of graphs or characters used to represent the phonetic structure of a language. Phonetic alphabet. International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, or an alphabet developed in the 19th century to accurately represent the pronunciation of languages. Articulators. Articulation in phonetics, a configuration of the vocal tract, the larynx and the pharynx, oral and nasal cavities, resulting from the positioning of the mobile organs of the vocal tract. For example, tongue, relative to other parts of the vocal tract that may be rigid, for example, the hard palate. Now we have some definition of the organs of the speech. The first one is the diaphragm, located below the lungs, is the major muscle of respiration. It is a large dome-shaped muscle that contracts rhythmically and continually, and most of the time involuntary. The lungs are part of the respiratory system. They provide the energy source for the airflow. They are situated inside the rib cage. They expand and contract as we breathe in and out. The amount of air accumulated inside our lungs controls the pressure of the airflow. The bronchus, a large airway that leads from the trachea or windpipe to a lung. The plural of bronchus is bronchi. Trachea or windpipe. The airway that leads from the larynx, voice box, to the bronchi, large airways that leads to the lungs. It sends air to your lungs. The larynx or voice box, also called voice box, a hollow tubular structure connected to the top of the windpipe. Air passes through the larynx on its way to the lungs. It also produces the vocal sounds and prevents the passage of food and other foreign particles into the lower respiratory tracts. Vocal cords, either of two folds of mucous membrane that extend across the interior cavity of the larynx and are primarily responsible for the voice production. The glottis, combination of vocal folds and space in between the folds. As the vocal cords vibrate, the resulting of the vibration produces a buzzing quality to the speech called voice or voicing or pronunciation. Epiglottis is a cartilaginous flap that extends in front of and above the larynx, the laryngeal inlet, or more specifically, the rhimaglottis. The pharynx, cone-shaped passageway leading from the oral and nasal cavities in the head to the esophagus and larynx. The nasal passage. It lies above the bone that forms the root of the mouth and curves down at the back to join the throat. The velum or soft palate. It should have holes forming that function during speech to separate the oral cavity mouth from the nose in order to produce the oral speech sounds. If this separation is incomplete, air escapes through the nose during speech and the speech is perceived as hypernasal. The vocal cavity. In human anatomy, orifice through which food and air enters to the body. The mouth opens to the outside of the lips and empties into the throat at the rear. Nasal cavity is a large air-filled space above and behind nose in the middle of the face. Teeth. These are sheath structure of the mouth, which tear and grind ingested food into small pieces and are suitable for digestion. The tongue. This position and mixes food and also carries sensory receptors for taste. And the palate, which separates the mouth from the nasal cavity, allowing to separate passages from air and for food. The hard palate is a plate bone covered by a moist, durable layer of mucous membrane tissue, which secretes small amounts of mucus. Lips, soft, pliable, anatomical structure that forms the mouth margin of most vertebrates, composed of a surface, epidermis, or skin, connective tissue, and muscle layer. That is everything. Thank you.